Propaganda. Say that word, and everybody pictures the same movie. Grainy, black and white footage, jackboots, some guy screaming from a balcony, a red flag that size of a building. It feels safe, right? It feels like a thing that happened a long time ago to other people in a country that lost a war. It's a museum word.
Here's the first surprise of the night. The word didn't even start as an insult. Propaganda comes from Latin, the Congregatio de Propaganda Fide, a committee of Catholic cardinals founded in 1622. It just meant the congregation for propagating the faith, spreading ideas. It didn't curdle into manipulation until the 20th century.
So, for 300 years, it just meant getting the word out.
Right, which means the scary part was never the word. The scary part is the word came to describe a set of techniques, and techniques aren't German or old or dead. Techniques are a recipe.
And a recipe works in anybody's kitchen.
A recipe works in anybody's kitchen, including ours, including right now.
Okay, so that's the show tonight. This is not a history lecture about the bad guys who lost. This is the instruction manual for the machine, how it actually works, gear by gear, so you can see it the next time it's running, and it's always running somewhere.
This is the sovereign system where the fringe meets the framework. Every claim source, both sides on the table. We don't hand you the conclusions, we hand you the tools, and then we turn those tools on ourselves.
Tonight, no aliens. Something scarier. The documented, repeatable machine that can talk a whole nation into things it would never choose on its own. We're going to take it apart on the table, piece by piece, and then we're going to hand you the tools. Episode 19, The Engineering of Consent. So before we touch the machinery, I want to kill one comfortable idea. The idea that this is a foreign problem and their problem. Because Dave, you sent me the research for this and I had to put my phone down for a minute.
The 1930s and early 40s, right here in the United States, there was an organization called the German American Bund, pro Nazi, operating openly. And in 1939, they held a rally that filled Madison Square Garden, about 20,000 people.
20,000 in New York City. We pictured this stuff as always somewhere far away, and it was a subway ride from Times Square.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I've actually seen a ton of videos of when this was going down, and I don't think a lot of people realize how big the German American Bund was in the United States. I mean, they had chapters in almost every single state. The pro-Nazi party was huge in the United States prior to the aggression in Europe, and even leading up to the aggression in Europe. And it wasn't only New York. There were domestic fascist and anti Semitic movements operating openly in Southern California and across the country. There was a San Diego newspaper editor, Leon D. Aron, ran a paper called The Broom, who parroted Hitler's racial theories in almost word for word.
And the volume of it was insane, right? You said it was a flood?
The CSUN historians put it perfectly. Never before had the world seen so overwhelmed with so much information: pamphlets, cartoons, booklets, films, radio shows, all of it bombarding the American public at once.
Okay, but you promised me this story has a hopeful turn because right now I want to crawl under this desk, Dave.
It has a deeply hopeful turn because the same country and the same era fought back. And here's the part I love: they didn't fight it with censorship. In 1937, a group of social scientists and journalists founded the Institute for Propaganda Analysis. Their entire mission was to teach the public how to recognize propaganda. Everything we're handing you tonight traces back to those people.
So the antidote to the poison was invented in the same decade as the poison.
By ordinary people who decided the defense against manipulation is education, not banning things, which is an extremely sovereign idea. You don't burn the bad map, you teach every single person how to read maps.
I like that a lot, okay? So the machine isn't foreign and it isn't dead, but the instruction manual for beating it is almost 90 years old and it still works. Let's open it.
Yeah, so there's a Harvard behavioral study of Nazi propaganda by a researcher named Kathrik Narawenswani for a Holocaust history course. And it's the cleanest breakdown of the architecture I've ever read. And what it shows is that an organized propaganda system almost always does three jobs at the same time. Three jobs, lay them on me, John.
The Three Jobs of a Propaganda System by the Harvard Behavioral Analysis. Deify the leader, cause, make the figure or movement feel larger than human, radiant, inevitable, beyond question. Define the enemy, build a villain, simplify a whole group into a single, ugly caricature, and pin the blame for everything on them. Rally the masses, pull the in group together, make joining feel safe and dissent feel dangerous, and march everyone toward the goal.
Deify, define, and rally. And here's the engine underneath all three, which is the real heart of the Harvard paper. None of it works by argument. None of it. It works by triggering cognitive biases, the mental shortcut every human brain uses to make fast decisions. Propaganda is the deliberate, artificial flipping of those shortcuts to get around your reasoning.
Okay, cognitive bias for me and for everybody at home who didn't take the psychology class, give me that in plain English.
Absolutely, John. So, a cognitive bias is a factory setting in your brain, a shortcut, and most of them were useful 100,000 years ago. Like, everybody around me is suddenly running. I should also run and ask questions later. That shortcut kept your ancestors alive. The problem is, somebody can reach in and flip that switch on purpose.
So my brain shipped with security vulnerabilities, and nobody ever sent a patch.
Worse, the vulnerabilities are features. They're supposed to be there. The propagandist is just using them the way that they were designed to be used against you.
Cool, 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 cool. Love that for us.
And the chilling line from the analysis is basically this: the propagandist doesn't need to make you believe a careful cause, they just need to make you feel a fast one. The biases are the door, and they don't knock.
Three jobs, one method. Deify, define, rally by hijacking the shortcuts. Okay, let's actually watch them do it.
All right, so job one, deifying the leader. Three main biases, and they use real techniques you can literally see in the posters. First, the halo effect. That's when one good seeming trait spills over so the person seems good at everything. And they were not subtle. Nazi posters literally painted light around Hitler's head like a religious halo. Added angelic birds, wreaths of flowers.
They gave him a halo, an actual halo. That's not even subtext, that's just text.
Second, authority bias. We accept ambiguous things on the say so of someone who looks like an authority, so they posed him as this commanding, shepherd like figure leading the flock. And third, the bandwagon effect. Everyone's already behind him, so I should be too. They showed him with enormous crowds at his back for exactly that reason.
The halo effect is wild because we all run it every day on low stakes, right? The good looking person we assume is also smart and kind. The confident voice we assume must know what it's talking about.
Exactly the same wiring. The propagandist just takes the everyday version and weaponizes it. Now, job two, defining the enemy. And here's where it gets darker and where the toolkit gets bigger.
Bigger how?
They start with selection bias plus negativity bias. You show only the ugliest, cherry picked images of the group, and the brain naturally fixates on the negative ones. That builds into a clustering illusion where your mind starts seeing a pattern of badness that was never actually there.
So you're trained to see something that isn't real.
Then, superiority bias and self serving bias. We get the credit for all the success, they get the blame for all the failure. And then the really insidious one, The Semmelweis reflex, which is the brain's tendency to automatically reject evidence that contradicts a belief it's already installed. So once the villain story is in, contradicting facts just bounce off.
That's the scary one. That's the one where you can't even argue someone out of it because the disagreeing facts literally don't land.
And it's all glued together by one technique the Harvard paper hammers on: relentless us versus them. Oversimplified good versus evil stories that, in their words, are easily accessible and understood by mass audiences. Every single bias I just listed serves that one split.
So here's what I'm noticing. Tell me if I've got it. Building the hero took, what, 3 levers? Building the villain took like 6.
That's the most useful observation of the whole episode, and it's not an accident. The Harvard data shows the heaviest machinery in any propaganda system is always pointed at manufacturing the villain. Making you love the leader is easy. Making you hate the enemy is where they spend the budget.
And just to say it out loud for everybody, because I can feel my own brain trying to do it, this is the part where you start matching this to people you don't like today. And,
And that's a tool, not a target. Hold that thought because we're going to deal with it head on at the end.
right? The tell for now. When you see maximum effort poured into making you hate a group, any group from any direction, that's the machine. That's the tell.
Job 3: rallying the masses. This is how the machine turns a bunch of separate private individuals into one single crowd that polices itself. Start with the in group bias. Preferential warmth for our kind of people, so you flood the zone with images of hardworking, wronged, decent in group families.
Make us feel like the good, normal, put upon people.
Then herd instinct kicks in. The doubters go quiet and just copy the majority to stay safe. And there's one poster the Harvard paper cites that genuinely chilled me. It reads Deutsche, sie stolz und schweig. It means German, be proud and silent.
Wait, the poster's instruction is to be silent?
The silence was the product. That's the whole point.
That's the scariest poster you've described, and it's not even asking anybody to do anything. It's just asking them to do nothing, to just swallow it.
And then projection bias seals it. Everyone assumes everyone else already agrees, which makes the silence feel even safer, which deepens it. It's a feedback loop. And they reinforce all of it by targeting children and youth, the Hitler Youth, to lock in the in group early.
There was a money one too, right? You mentioned something about cost.
Yeah, and this is one we should handle carefully because it's the darkest. The bias is called hyperbolic discounting, which is our tendency to grab immediate payoff and ignore a future cost. The Nazi ran posters framing disabled citizens as financial burdens. Look how much their care costs you, and used it to grease the path towards what they called mercy killing.
Yeah, I'm going to set the jokes down for a second because that's where this stops being a clever poster analysis and becomes the actual road to murder. They did the math on human beings out loud on a poster and asked people to nod along.
And that's exactly what a court said after the war. The Reich's press chief, Otto Derich, was convicted at Nuremberg, and the judgment found the whole propaganda campaign's purpose was, and this is the court's language, to blunt the sensibilities of people, to enrage them against a group to justify what was being done to that group, and to subdue any doubts about whether it was just.
Blunt the sensibilities. That's the end game of the entire machine in one phrase. Make people stop feeling the thing they should obviously feel.
And notice the goal was never to make everyone a true believer. It was just to make the doubters quiet, which means, and this is the hopeful flip again, the single most powerful countermeasure is almost embarrassingly simple.
Don't be proud and silent.
Your calm, sourced, unafraid voice, that's the thing the machine can't route around. Okay, the biases explain why propaganda works on the brain, but you wanted something you can actually use tomorrow in the wild. So this is the field kit. Those analysts in 1937, the Institute for Propaganda Analysis, named 7 techniques that still describe almost all of it. 7 cards, carry them everywhere. The 7 propaganda devices, again, this was by the Institute for Propaganda Analysis circa 1937. One, name calling. Attach bad labels so you can reject a person or group without examining the evidence. Two, glittering generalities. The mirror image, vaguely shiny words, freedom, family, progress that make you approve without examining the evidence. Three, transfer. Borrow the prestige of a respected symbol, a flag, a cross, a lab coat by standing next to it. Four, testimonial. A famous or trusted face endorses this thing, whether or not they know anything about it. Five, plain folks. The powerful figure pretends to just be an ordinary, humble person like you. Six, card stacking. Tell only the facts that help your side, bury the rest. Hardest to catch because nothing said is technically false. And finally, seven, bandwagon. Everyone's doing it. Don't get left behind. Exploits the fear of being left out or the fear of missing out.
Okay, I want to play a game because some of these I'm realizing I get hit with every single day. Let's do harmless examples. Name calling.
Calling a rival product cheap junk instead of actually comparing the specs.
Glittering generalities.
Any product that promises freshness and confidence. What does that even mean? The IPA's own test is great here. Take the glow word out and see if it's actual claim left underneath.
Transfer.
Wrapping a pickup truck in an American flag when the flag has nothing to do with the transmission.
Testimonial.
Every celebrity endorsement ever. A movie star who's very good at acting, telling you which coffee maker achieves inner peace.
Plain folks.
The billionaire in a brand new flannel shirt, sleeves rolled up, eating a hot dog at the dinner table for the cameras.
The flannel is doing so much work in that sentence. Okay. Card stacking.
The medication ad that lists every single wonderful benefit set to soft piano music, and the side effects get read by a man talking very fast over the end credits.
And bandwagon.
Join the millions who've already switched, the fear of being the one loser still standing on the platform.
Okay. Can I rank these by villain tier real quick? Card stacking is the quiet mastermind. Never lies, always winning, always wins. Bandwagon is the needy one that just wants you to like what everyone likes. And plain folks is the 100% the guy who shows up to the costume party not in a costume going, "What? This old thing?"
Yeah, and here's the genuinely important part. The IPA themselves said these weren't even inventions. They were just observations of persuasion patterns that had driven humans for millennia. The exact same seven run through advertising, marketing, and your social media feed right now. The difference between persuasion and propaganda is not the toolkit, it's three things: intent, transparency, and the relationship to truth.
So an ad using these isn't automatically evil.
Correct. A used car ad using bandwagon is just selling cars. The same technique aimed at making you hate your neighbors, something else entirely. Same lever, wildly different intent. The distinction is the whole game.
7 cards and every one of them has an off switch, right? You said the IPA built a question for each?
They did. For plain folks, is this person actually credible once you strip away the folksy act? For glittering generalities, what does the slogan mean if I delete the pretty word and look for the real claim? Naming the device is step one. Asking its question is the off switch. So let's pull it all together. Three jobs, the biases, the seven devices, into one tool you can run on any message from any source on any side. Tool number 31, the propaganda audit, 5 questions. First question, the target question. Who is this teaching me to hate or fear? And who is it teaching me to worship or trust? The us versus them split is the master key. A flawless us and a monstrous them means the machine is running, no matter which side it flattens or flatters. Two, the bias question. Which mental shortcut is being pulled? Am I being asked to feel a fast conclusion instead of a reason for a slow one? Three, the device question. Which of the seven devices is in play? Name calling, glittering generalities, transfer, testimonial, plain folks, card stacking, or bandwagoning? The missing card question. What's being left out? What fact or context would weaken this if I went looking for it? 5, the silence question. Is this trying to make me act or trying to make me go quiet? Does believing it return me to myself as the architect, or does it just want my obedience?
And the honest thing is, 4 of these 5 are kind of fun to run on people you already disagree with.
They're extremely fun to run on people you disagree with, which is exactly the trap. So here's the sovereign point, and it's the thing that makes this tool different from a weapon. It's built so it can't take a side. You're supposed to run it on a message you agree with just as hard as when you don't. Honestly, harder on the ones you agree with.
Why harder on the ones you agree with?
Because that's where your guard is all the way down. Propaganda that flatters what you already believe is kind of what you will never catch on your own. Nobody fact checks the headline that makes their side look good. The audit doesn't tell you what to think, it tells you when somebody is trying to think for you.
That's the discipline of the whole show, really. We run the detection protocol on our own claims. This is just that, pointed at the entire fire hose.
Yeah, 5 questions aimed at everything, including us, including at yourself. So here's where we have to be honest with you and with ourselves. We spent some time handling you a machine for spotting manipulation. And the most dangerous moment in any conversation like this is the moment right after, when you walk away feeling armed because the very first thing the human mind wants to do with a tool like this is point it at people it already disagrees with.
Yeah, I felt that the whole entire time we were recording. Every example, some part of my brain went, oh, I know exactly who that is. And that reflex, that little hit of gotcha, that's the trap. That's the same wiring we spent all night describing. The bias doesn't care which side you're on, it just wants you certain.
The Institute for Propaganda Analysis understood this back in 1937. They didn't publish the 7 devices so people could win arguments. They published them so citizens could defend their own minds. The point was never, now you see through them. The point was, now you see through everyone, including the people you trust, including the leaders you like, including the version of the story that makes you the hero.
Which is the hard part. It's easy to audit the other guy, it costs you nothing. Auditing your own side, the cause you've put a sticker on your car for, that costs something. That's where it actually means something.
And we want to be really clear about something because the episode could be misused. We did not tell you what to think tonight. We didn't name a single living person, party, or movement, and that was on purpose. Propaganda is not a thing that only one side you like, uses, or dislike does. It is a set of techniques. It is available to everyone. It is used by everyone. And the honest answer is that all of us, the show included, have been moved by it without knowing.
The history we talked about tonight is settled. The court at Nuremberg ruled on it. The posters are in museums. That part isn't a debate, and we're not pretending it is. What we're handing you isn't a verdict about today. It's the same x ray those analysts built in the 30s, and where you point it is generally up to you. We trust you with it. That's kind of the whole brand.
So your sovereign win this week, we call it the mirror test. Take the propaganda audit, all 5 questions, and run it once on a message from a side you oppose. Notice how easy it is, how good it feels. Then, this is the real assignment. Run it on a message from a side you support, a headline you shared, a speech that moved you, a cause you believe in. 5 questions, no mercy.
If it survives all 5, if it's not sorting the world into angels and demons, not pulling your biases, not stacking the cards, not trying to make you go quiet, then it's probably persuasion. And persuasion's allowed. That's just someone making a case. But if it fails, it doesn't mean you're wrong. It just means somebody decided that you couldn't be trusted with the whole truth, and you deserve better than that from everyone from every side.
31 tools, the newest one's a mirror.
Be nobody's herd. Be the architect.
The engineering of consent. Thanks for thinking with us tonight. We'll catch you next week.